Hi, welcome back to Silver Hill. This one's just going to be a short update. I haven't done a video for a while, and that's the reason is I've had to have another procedure done. So this one is kind of personal. I'm not sure if it'll interest you, and quite brief. So I have known for some time that I had a hernia, an inguinal hernia, and so I had to go have that looked after by surgeon. And when I went and seen the surgeon, this was in the winter. It was in January. I finally got the appointment for it because I was having some trouble down there. It was giving me a little bit of pain, discomfort, and on the right side. And I was also having trouble. Yeah, this one here might be it's kind of personal. We're going to talk about, going to the washroom and that kind of stuff. You don't want to hear it. This is the right time to tune out right now. I do remember growing up with my aunts, and when they'd all get around the supper table, come over and visit my mom and dad. Of course, they're all gone now except one, but a lot of times they'd start talking about their bowels, and it was like, oh, this and that and the other thing, and sadly, I'm now starting to understand why they were always talking about their bowels and their innards. Is because when you start getting 60 and plus, for some of us, we start having some troubles. So I was having troubles with pain last year. Last summer, I was doing the firewood, getting it ready, and I noticed that I had to take basically 3 days off just to get the pain to stop down in that area. I won't get into too much more detail. Not a really visible kind of hernia, but it was still there. And so what happened was I started, then fall come around, then I started having problems on my left side about 20 minutes before I'd go to the washroom, sit down and go. I would get like pain there, and then as time went on, and then I started to feel like some sort of a hardness or something. Like I would say to people, is if you had a bit of a Toblerone bar, and that was on the left side. Of course, that's where the large sigmoid colon goes down, and before it passes out into your rectum and then out into the world. So this would happen about 20 minutes before, and I went to the doctor about that, and I said, well, what's going on? And my doctor, she said, yep, you've got an inguinal hernia on your right side, and I believe it's impacted stool, she says, on the left. And I was like, no, I've never had this problem, like constipation and stuff. No, that's not really me. I never had that problem before because I'm really active and just different reasons, And so I was kind of, yeah, no. So she said, well, I'll make a point with the surgeon for you. And she did, and then I got to see him in January. And then by that time I had a lot of time to think about it, because every 4 days or so I was having to resort to, let's just say, we'll call it rectal encouragement, okay, just to get stuff to move. Yeah, sorry for that. I'm trying to not be too detailed here, but hey, this is our human body, and as we age, this is what happens. So I was wondering, what is going on, what's slowing down my system? Because even with the one hernia on the right, it wasn't a problem. Well, I wasn't, I was kind of going normally in normal times. And so what happened was I started to feel these results or whatever, and so I got to see the surgeon, and I had some time to think about it. So we're there on the table, he lays me down, he feels around, and he's feeling on the left side. He says, yeah, you're on the right side, we're going to do this. And I had one there in my 20s, when I was in my 20s, and I was in a different city, I was going to a college at that time, and I remember the doctor there, the surgeon there, said, yeah, you've got this, and he showed me what had to be done and got fixed. But over those years, I suppose, just doing labor work and working around and just getting older, and I guess I must have worked back through. So that one I could almost live with, the one on the right. So I'm laying there on the table, and he's feeling around on the left side, and he says, yeah, I feel. And I said, and we almost said it together, like the surgeon and I said, this is another hernia, isn't it? He said, yeah, you got a smaller one on the left side. So I haven't been back to the surgeon for my follow-up. But if you ever, guys, this was basically a double hernia surgery, whereas one was much more, it seemed more intense. They couldn't do laparoscopic. I've got large, oh man, they're probably the size of my hand, you know, like width-wise scars, and on both sides. So I assume there's meshes in there. He didn't say he was going to put meshes in there, but I'm assuming probably there is. When I got home after the surgery, went through all the surgery, and you know, the going through the surgery part's usually the easiest. You know, it's a drag having to be put to sleep and do all that stuff, and especially if you see my history on this channel, it's just like it's been one thing after another. It's like we joke now. It's like it's you know, the surgery of the year. It's something. So far, I've been very fortunate. It's nothing. I haven't come across anything malignant or anything like that, but still, you know, it's just, you're trying to get your life, back after all these things, and going back to the pandemic, and going back to cleaning out my parents' home, and yeah, there's videos on that here, and you know, you're doing all this stuff, and you're like trying to catch up to where you were in your 50s and your 40s, but it's just, you know, getting mom in a senior home. There was a wildfire in our area, just, you know, it hadn't been wildfires for 100 years, and there was a wildfire that nearly burnt the empty house down that I had to clean out, and and then I had, you know, well, you could see it, you know, different surgeries, you know, kidney stone surgery, all this stuff I had to have done, and one real bad one with the gallbladder and stuff. So, and there's even one on Turp for you guys if you want to check that out. There's one on Turp here. So I said this would be brief, and what happened was I've had the surgery, and I'm just out, been walking around. The surgery was about, it'll be 4 weeks by probably the time I post this, and I was quite shocked. The surgeon told me there will be swelling, you know, and he said you're going to have some swelling, discomfort, this and that, maybe some numbness, and I'm like, yeah, sure. But I was quite shocked, surprised when I got home. The amount of body fluid, probably a little bit of blood mixed in. Sorry, guys. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban this video for me saying BLOOT. But let's just say things were quite swollen. Yeah, I couldn't believe how much swollen things were. They seem to be going down. I have had some trouble since. If you're ever going to have to go for this kind of thing, guys, or maybe it would involve women too. They can have the same issue, I suppose. What you may be prepared for, have to be prepared for, is something that I think it's okay, but I'm kind of going through like spasms, or whatever you want to call it now, where, if you hear a noise in the background, sorry, it's just it's a greenhouse fan noise. I just went around here. Yeah, let's see. Kind of see that, yeah, just a quick little look there. So the swelling was wow, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it, and I was so scared. I thought maybe I think I did call the office, but of course he was in surgery at the time, and the receptionist didn't really seem to know. So I suppose she couldn't give me any medical advice for insurance reasons, but I was concerned. I kept the ice on it, and but yeah, I just want to say that if you have one of these things, like last night about this time or earlier, I had what I think is called zaps, or a bit of a spasms. I've had 2 cases, especially on the right side. It was more intensive there because I think, you know, the smaller bowel presumably traveled further there, and so it's more intensive there. And I have had, over a space of maybe 7 days, I would call 2 spasm attacks or something. One was after going to the washroom, and I understood that one because, you know, you're moving things around. But last night I was just sort of like kicking some shoes out of my way in front of where I come in my entranceway, and all of a sudden, bang, right down there, right where the incision is, bang, there was this very sudden, quick, sharp, I guess it's called a zap. And I got a little worried. I took a couple steps, and bang again. I think the thing is, I'm doing more than I should, even at 3 to 4 weeks. I know I'm not lifting anything. I'm not supposed to lift 10 pounds, but I'm telling you, I'm not even lifting 5 or 10 pounds right now. 5 pounds. Anyways, I guess I will call it a day on this one. But I just want to let you know that's where I've been. I've been recuperating, just hanging out a lot on the sofa, sleeping on the sofa again. But now I'm back to my bed, so that's good anyway. Yeah, it's tough. If you have any questions about the hernia surgery, what I went through, you know, you want a little something, you can just say it in the comments or whatever, and I'll see what I can do to answer it. Of course, not medically professional stuff, but I will tell you, make sure you're armed to the teeth with all kinds of, what do you call them, things to get your system going, suppository in case you need one of those. What are those little gel things you have? It takes them 2 or 3 days to move your system. Oh man, what are they called? Oh, you know, you take them with your food, and it's a softener. Yeah, a stool softener. So yeah, I would be prepared with those things. What else? I can't think right off the top of my head. Just because, we eat tons of fiber. I mean, I'm talking raisin bran with bran on top of it, with apples, with everything you think. You don't even go too, you need protein to heal, I get that, but stay away from the white bread. The white bread, flours, batter, you know, kind of stuff like that. No. You don't want, when you've had surgery down there and it involves the bowels, you do not want, you can't strain. I mean, you've just got to sit and it's got to do its thing on its own. There's no straining. You don't want that, because it's going to put pressure, the same as if you'd coughed. It's going to put pressure on your thing down, on your surgical area. Anyways, yeah, and I'm from Canada, and I don't know what they do in other places, but basically they send you home all bandaged up, and after 4 days you take the first layer of bandages off. Then there's these surgical tapes you take off on the 8th day. Yeah, it was kind of weird doing that. I took my time taking the second bunch off because the scar's right underneath. And you're like, geez, what happened to the day when nurses or something did this, doctors did this stuff for you? But it's like my wife says, it's all self-serve medical now. Anyways, I think I'm doing okay. I will know in a couple of weeks when I see the surgeon. You guys have a good one. I'll do something a little better, a little more detailed, and a little something better for you than this. But this is just an update. This is why it's been so quiet on this channel, and this is what's going on. Okay, we'll talk to you later, and you guys have a good one. See you later.